Smell? Yeah, I'll find the name. It's not off the top of my head. It's really economical, and people come to me for demos, right? What do you think about that? I go, smells great. What are we doing? We're overcoming the smells that deter and cause anxiety in dental patients. It's a human science study. It's like, right? It's a human science study of smells, one of the key senses. And there's people very sensitive to different smells.
We use a sage, essential oil.
Yes. What's it called?
Lavender and bibs too.
Yep, lavender and bibs. Hot towels, very popular. Okay, one practice had a bread maker. This is what I was going to tell you about, because it takes a lot to, I go, this is different. I go, what is that smell? So there's the Subway of the onions, but this is a smell of bread. They bake bread every morning. Someone on the team puts in the stuff in the bread maker. Now the team's not doing it anymore because they've all gained 8 pounds. I don't know if you've ever had a bread maker. You can get fat really fast, right? Plus, then there's all this gluten stuff, and oh, I'm smelling gluten here. Okay, you know what? They gave me this feedback. I didn't say go buy a bread maker. But what else?
When would you do the hot towel?
At the end. You wouldn't believe, on my dental TV reality show, it's going to be all the people you let go back to work with alginate everywhere. Yeah. And like their foundations have this part of their face and they're not here, right? And it reduces the volume to your patient washroom. Every yoga studio has what? These rails where you spray your mat before you go. That's stuff that's memorable, the gym, right? So it's just give the patient a mirror, you give them a hot towel, and let them be presentable before they leave your practice. It's like walking out of a hair salon with tinfoil. Looks a bit funny. Okay? And they don't want to be embarrassed. Okay? What else? You need some background music. Okay? Now, remember, what's something a group of women will never agree on?
Thermostat.
Temperature and music. So I say to the owner, your prerogative, right? But you can have, you've got message on holds, so when they're on hold on your phone, that could be promoting your practice. But the music you choose needs to be as much as it can for the general population, and the volume is huge, right? Because there are a lot of hearing problems in aging adults, right? And distractibility. So you got to pick your music. You generally don't have a different music going on in each op. That's why the state of your music. What else about the facility? And we're going to eat. What else can you think about the facility? You have hardware in your treatment rooms. Computer hardware, so your clinicians can post-treatment in the back and schedule the next visit. You might have to work it to where you don't want to have, there is privacy of having a computer screen up of the schedule of everyone coming in with another patient sitting, looking for all their neighbors and ex-husbands. Okay? So depending on how your layout is, there's a management process, management software process, and then there might be a patient education monitor. Okay, what's the fastest return of any technology you're ever going to buy in dentistry? Intraoral camera. Okay, so you have your intraoral camera. Here's the great thing about a treatment room. It's, let's say the high end, okay, if you've got the patients, you've got the providers to invest in expanding another room, you're looking at $40,000, $50,000 for everything, the curing lights, everything. There is no other business on this planet that can spend that money and get 4 times return within 1 year at a minimum production. So those of you who are asking yourself, should we add more rooms? Should we add capacity? It's either going to come in what? Hours, more chairs, okay, to match your patients. So do you have the capacity to match your active patient base and allow you for growth? So many times when dentists expand, they end up doing it again if they're in growth mode, okay? So you want to look at how many treatment rooms do you have. In this day and age, it's acceptable for one dentist to use 2 rooms and still be profitable. even if they don't do dovetail to assistant tag team scheduling, right? So a lot of you schedule one room and then overflows here. I will, when we get into some scheduling techniques, I'll show you how there's different ways you can do it, that you're going to work smarter, not harder. Okay, as opposed to, you just have to ask yourself what's your auxiliary support and that kind of thing. Anything else about your hardware in your treatment room, the back?
Sorry, no, I one question, but after you finish.
No, send a statement, you're okay.
My question was about, the facility, how about colors, posters, things.
Yeah. So you've got a culture. What's culture mean? It's the way people feel when they walk into your environment. The same as you have at your home. Okay? So you need cleaning services. You need to keep it clean, tidy. They judge you for that. Your bathroom's going to be maintained by someone on the team on a regular basis. You need to have, if your patient washroom is in the reception room, please have some sort of air freshener. More than just a can spray. Okay, because there's nothing worse than someone walking in smelling something like they just walked into a public restroom. Okay, but as far as what you were asking, your colors and your culture is going to be up to you. There's so many different designs. You probably don't want anything that's going to offend people. So like in my office, I did this huge room in bright purple. It freaked everyone out. I got sick of it after about 8 years, and it's also a color that gives people headaches if they have to sit in there for a long period of time, so I changed my rule of thinking on that, and I went neutral. Okay? But they're looking at it, they're not looking at it like to live. They're just looking at it, is this place clean? The neutral colors are the neutral colors. You can get reupholstery if you change your design. Updating your facility doesn't always take a lot of money. It's the equipment that costs money, right? Updating the look of it often doesn't take a lot. And them knowing that you're updating it. Now, it's different, though, if you knock all the walls down, shut down for 3 months, and you have a full pond and waterfall in the entrance. They're going to ask you for the next year, did they pay for that with their crowns? Or when you present dentistry, right? That's what happens when... So it's not about having a Taj Mahal. It's having a nice, clean, tidy place with people that seem somewhat happy that you're going to manage their infection control, and when they sit in a room, sit in your dental chairs and look at your ceiling tiles, please. Or sit in a dental chair and just look at all the cracks in the walls and the dents, because you don't know it, because you're what? You're there all the time. Right? So is there one way or not a good way? No. I will tell you, your infection control, the way you, don't do tours of your infection control if you dump all your dirty instruments on a towel, please. Okay? But when you get your infection control that goes from dirty to clean in a process across, and why do people buy what's called, I call them make-readies, but I think that's dating myself. The Steri centers that, you know, the Steri centers with the psychedelic orange lights, that's what's back ordered right now, because they look so good. They look good, but because there is an infection control of how they kill the bacteria and how they handle instruments is why people buy those. Your sterilization can't be a disaster. Okay? Your lab cases, not all over the floor in boxes. You know, when supplies come, how many times have you almost tripped over a delivery? They're just looking at it, that's all. And maybe not judging you, but they do notice it. They might not have to say anything. To me, what better thing to put on the wall than your before and afters of your own technical giftedness? However, the artwork needs to be appropriate. I can tell you, putting 19 posters of cartoon quotes on your ceiling tiles so when they lay back, we're not a pediatric, unless you're a pediatric office. But what do patients spend the most time looking at when they're in your dental office is when they're laying flat on their back. So you'll see a lot of new renovations. Where are they putting TVs?
On the top.
Imagine if I could have you the whole time I work on you just look at that MOD XYZ amalgam on the camera without saying anything. You might say, what's that? That's your 19 surface cracked silver filling, right? It's not a trick. It's just a way to educate